Hi everybody, it's Geordie from Geordie's Cards and I'm back with episode 20 of my Shop Your Crafty Stash series. But I'm doing something a little bit different today. I didn't use a random number generator for this card. Instead, I had some very specific parameters given to me by a friend who wanted me to make a card for her. So the parameters were a monkey playing basketball and a happy birthday card for a guy called Alan. So I knew I had the Lawn Fawn All-Stars stamp set and the Heffy Doodle Chimply the Best stamp set. I pulled out Henry's ABCs. I'm just using the A from that one because she wanted a capital A for the name. And the Moxie alphabet dies from Heffy Doodle. So I went ahead and coloured and cut out my little images. I'm going to have this little guy holding the basketball. And then I bought out the Heffy Doodle Happy Birthday Jumbo Sentiment dies to create my Happy Birthday sentiment. So I've cut the kind of background part of that from some red cardstock and the lettering from some white cardstock. And I'm going to mash those together with some liquid glue so you get this nice red shadow around the outside. So I just thought that this was kind of a lot of fun and worked well. It's kind of fun lettering and it worked well with the theme of the card, which is this little monkey playing basketball. So once I've stuck this down, I then die cut some letters to form the name Alan because she wanted the name Alan on the birthday card. But as I said, she wanted a capital A, so I decided to use my Moxie alphabet to make most of the word, but I just used the A from Lawn Fawn's Henry's ABCs to create my capital letter. And I found that these letters worked quite well together. They're both kind of a fun and funky alphabet, so they kind of work nicely. They're not obviously exact matches, but I don't think you can notice. So I've die cut these twice, once from red and once from white, and I'm stacking them one on top of the other, but offsetting them slightly so that you get a nice little shadow effect. Just finishing off with the last letter here, and then I'm going to pop these off to the side to dry completely while I work on some other elements for my card, namely my background. So I have just chosen a piece of blue cardstock, which I've die cut from an MFT stitched rectangle die. And I actually saw this idea on one of the Lawn Fawn design team cards where they created a similar kind of basketball themed card and they had this star background. Now I have never used this star background stencil. I think it's called Lots of Stars background stencil. I've had it in my stash for ages and haven't used it. So I was happy to pull it out today, and I'm just using a fish tank ink from Lawn Fawn to create a bit of a tone-on-tone look, just to create a little bit more interest for the background and make it a little bit more fun. And again, it was a nice way to use up something that's been sitting in my stash for a while and hasn't seen the light of day. Yeah, I'm a little bit embarrassed about that. I have several of those sorts of items, so it's always nice to pull them out. So to finish off, I'm using a piece of grey cardstock, which I've just cut again with that stitch rectangle and then just kind of trimmed it down a bit to use as my basketball court for my little critters to be playing basketball on. So now I'm just going to line everything up and kind of sort out where I'm putting everything before I adhere everything down. I am going to go ahead and pop that little basketball into my little chimpanzee's hands so that he looks like he's holding it and he's kind of flying through the air somewhat to place it in the basket. The other little guy is going to be standing, cheering at the bottom, cheering his friend on. And then my name is going to go right at the bottom. And that is pretty much how I'm going to set it out. So I'm going to go ahead and start attaching things down, starting with that a basketball hoop, which I kind of want to set slightly behind the happy birthday sentiment. So I just wanted to make sure that I get that placed in the right spot. And I'm having real difficulty getting it underneath that sentiment. But I just wanted to make sure it was nicely centered and lined up, since that's kind of going to be the middle of my card. And once I was happy with that, I went ahead and stuck everything else down. So this card didn't take long to put together, really, once I'd figured out what I was going to do. Like I say, some quite specific parameters for my card today, which is why I decided not to go with the number generator and just let my friend tell me exactly what she wanted, and hopefully she's a happy customer. So I think this card is destined for one of her children's school friends, who clearly is a basketball genius, I don't know, or who likes monkeys, I'm not sure which. But it was a lot of fun to put together, and it was a lot of fun at coming up with an idea. As I say, I did kind of borrow a little bit of an idea. I can't remember who it was. I know I saw it when the stamp set, the All-Stars stamp, that's a mouthful, All-Stars stamp set was released. I saw this idea, and I think they were using the really high five critters, the ones that kind of look like they're jumping up, in a similar kind of card. Perhaps it was a slim line, but I just really like the look of that star background, and I figured that I could use that today. So I did borrow that idea. I'm sorry to the person who came up with that in the first place that I can't credit you, because I think it's really, really cool. I'm just adding some little kind of swoosh marks there to make it look like my monkey is jumping up into the or placing the basketball in the basket hoop. And that is the front of my card done. All that's left is to pop it onto a card base. So I stamped out this sentiment, which comes from the Simply the Best stamp set. It does say happy birthday, go bananas, or it's your birthday, go bananas. I got rid of the happy birthday part. I just masked it off and just stamped out the go bananas part, just because I've already got that happy birthday sentiment onto the front of my card. So I didn't want to repeat it on the inside. And then I'm just gluing this down with some liquid glue. It leaves a nice little white border all the way around, so it kind of just looks nice and polished and finished, and I think it turned out pretty good in the end. So I hope my friend likes it, and I hope her child approves of it for their friend at school. It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please do give this one a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment, I'd love to hear from you, and please do subscribe to my channel. I'd love to see you come back.